Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's topic, I want to talk about something that will press a little bit of buttons here and there. It might be some people that's viewing this video, they're gonna be a bit too sensitive about this, but I think I'm gonna just say it straight up, and I want to talk about immigration. We're gonna be talking about the topic of immigration today. This is something different from my other videos that usually I don't really talk about these type of topics, but I feel like with the videos I've seen online and everything that's being posted on social media through news articles and all these things, and a lot of it has to do with immigration, and I just want to spill a couple of my thoughts about it. And in certain situations I'm going to be pretty unfiltered in this video, so there's not going to be any sense of political correctness, and I'll explain why as we go along. So pretty much the main topic of this video today is that why I think immigration should be controlled. Now, people can misunderstand me or misinterpret me, so I just want to clarify and explain my point before I elaborate on it. So what I mean by this is that I am by no means against immigration, right? This is not my stance. I'm not fully anti-immigration, right? I feel like people, especially immigrants, they should have the opportunity to live a better life, in a better country, especially in the West, or in a quote-unquote first world country, and prosper within that society. They're given that right, and I fully respect that. I understand it, because my parents are immigrants as well, so I fully understand that, and I empathize with these people. However, the problem arises with I'm not sure if you've seen videos of these posts as being posted on social media, is that I've seen examples when the amount of immigrants essentially assimilate into a country, or in the Western countries per se, let's just say Europe or Canada or America, and they start causing problems within it. Now, it's understandable that it's going to cause tensions, right? If you're coming from your home-based country and you're just settling in within a new country, then yeah, it's the norms are completely different. Your norms are not as new as their norms. Your standards are not maybe as high as their standards, which is understandable. But the common sense judges you that if you were to go to even visit another country for traveling or whatever, you can't just expect everyone within that country to, first of all, know your language, and second of all, to know your culture. You have to in a sense adapt to their culture, because now you're living within their society. That is the general expectation when you visit other countries. And because of this, even people of those countries complain about tourists that come to visit their country and they're being just outright disrespectful and not knowing the norms, because that's due to their ignorance, and they're not willing to assimilate within that culture, right? Which is the general unspoken rule. This is what you need to do when you go to any country, especially if you're living there for the rest of your life. Now, the problem starts to arise when immigrants, they come in huge amount of numbers, to the point where the country itself cannot support these people, let alone their own citizens to begin with, right? And I'm gonna give a very personal example, which is Canada, right? Canada is the country that I'm residing in, and me personally, now what I think about it, especially with all these videos that's surfacing online and all of these personal experiences that I went through, I am being affected by this mass amount of immigration that's coming to our country, right? There's even videos I've seen online that there's this swarm of Africans. They were coming into they just recently migrated to Portugal, and they're just trying to get on a bus, and they're just completely oblivious, or they're just entitled. I don't know what it is, but they just start swarming inside the bus, and it's people after people after people after people. It just doesn't stop, and that's just a normal day in Portugal. That poor bus driver has to deal with that every single day. And another example is I've seen a video where there was a Canadian guy. He well, he's not Canadian, but he's Indian, but in Canada, and there's a video of him just throwing trash on the sidewalk, right? And then the guy who was recording, he called him out. I was look, what are you doing? This is not what you're supposed to do. There's a trash can right there, throw your trash right there. It's not good for the environment. And then there's another video where it was the same thing. Like there's like this Indian guy in England. These two Indian workers, like, they threw all of their trash on the sidewalk, and the British guy who was recording, he just like straight up confronted them. He's like, look, pick up all your trash, like, right now. Started like listing his license plate number and all of these things. And by watching all these videos, it's starting to make me think that, like, look, like, this is getting way out of hand, right? So what does this have to do with my original point saying that, like, you know, we should have a control on immigration, or we should have a sense of control towards the amount? Because the reason why I'm saying this is because it goes back to my other point where I stated that if we do not have a limit or have a control over the numbers of immigration, it's not even just the numbers, it's the people who are coming into the country to begin with. This is another factor that's also not really like looked into, which can cause like drastic consequences for the country, is that economically speaking, if we're not in an economical situation to provide for these people, then not only is it fair for them to go through that suffering, but at the same time we're suffering at the end of it as well. It just logically makes sense. And also the amount of people that come into a country, if they're not being like checked like properly, who these people are, what are their backgrounds are like, do they have like prior criminal records, all of these things, if they're not being properly checked, then we don't even know who's coming into the country to begin with. And now I'm going to give you a more personal example, which is, as I said before, is Canada. Canada is known for this. Like, for goodness sake, like, they're so laxed when it comes to immigration that they essentially boast themselves, or they have like this sense of pride where they're like, oh, let's just like bring all like the immigrants within our country, and then, you know, and see what happens. Like, oh yeah, they're going to be like a viable asset within our country in terms of the economy and all these things. To a certain extent it might be true, but nowadays that's not the case, because now a lot of Canadians are speaking out. They're saying that, like, look, when it comes to the job market, none of them are getting the jobs. I myself have been personally affected by this, personally, for you know. And it's funny, I'm gonna tell you this right now. From August of last year, this is when I started applying for jobs, right? From August of last year, guess when I finally got a job, which is, I got a job in security around May of this year. And you know what's screwed up about this part is that not only did I just barely got the job, at the same time I don't have the amount. I'm not even getting that many shifts, or any shifts to begin with. The last shift I worked was like last month for just a couple of days. Like, and I'm one of the lucky ones because I actually got a job, but technically I'm just not working and I'm not getting paid for being on call, which is kind of stupid. But then again, that's just another separate topic for another video. The main point is that there are other Canadian-born citizens within a country that are looking for jobs. High school students, they want to like have a jump start to their career. College students, they want to like pay for their bills. Regular Canadian workers that have to like provide for their families. They need to like pay for their rents. They have to pay for their expenses, because we all know how that is here in Canada. And guess what? Majority of these jobs are taken over by immigrants. And I'm being very specific here. Like I said, I'm not being politically correct in this video, and I'm gonna say it right up. It's these Indians. Yes, there's a specific type of immigrants that's causing majority of the problems within this country, and I'm saying it right now. It's Indians. Like, and I'm not being racist to a point, because I myself come from a South Asian background, and I know these people very well. You know what their mentality is like and how they do it. You don't believe me? You can watch videos for yourself. There's so many videos online. You can do your own research, like the type of mentality these people have. And are they solely the main cause of the problems? No, they're not. They're not the main cause of the problems. The main cause of the problem that could have been avoided is the government themselves, because they don't have any sense of control on who's coming to their country, what type of consequences will it lead for their citizens within the country. No, they just allow them to come in. And what I noticed with Canada is that it's not even just like a specific type of immigrant that'll just come into it's not just like any immigrants that'll come to the country. It's only a specific type of immigrant that comes to the country, and guess who they are? Indians. Like, I am convinced that I'm pretty sure majority of the Canada's population by now is just filled with like these like 50-60% just Indians. Like, they've expanded. You go to like any job workforce, any China job that you're trying to apply for, guess what? There's like 20 Indians with their extended tribes and family members that are already like working in that position that you're trying to like apply for. And guess who are the hiring managers? Indians themselves. So what does that say? It says that like if you're not Indian, good luck finding a job. Like, straight up. Like, I don't know how else we can put it out. Good luck finding a job. Because why? They're not going to consider you. They're going to consider their own people that specifically want to speak Punjabi as well. If they speak Punjabi, check mark. They're going to just hire them. They're going to give them preference over citizens who are Canadian born, have way more qualifications than any of these people have, and they're just flat out rejected. So what is that going to cause? What are the potential consequences of this? It's going to cause civil unrest. And another issue that these Indians have is that they're not willing to assimilate themselves. Okay, maybe not assimilate, that's kind of like an extreme term, but like to like adapt to a different society that has different values from their own. I get it, you know, like I said, it's not easy for them to like come into the country. They've had their own struggles. They have all these things. I completely empathize with that. The problem is that they have to realize that, like, look, if you come into a first world country, doesn't matter where it is, or doesn't matter if it's any other country, they have their own set of values and systems that you need to follow. That is the basic expectation they have for you guys. If you don't follow that, you don't abide by the rules, you cause like chaos and havoc on the streets. Look at the Diwali examples in all over Toronto. You see them just dancing around like Yonge and Dundas Square in Toronto. Like, you see all these things. What is that going to portray you as? Would people respect you? No, they're not gonna respect you. They're gonna like look at you like you're just like some alien in their country that just invaded their country. And they're gonna be outright hostile with you, and then they wonder like, oh, why are Canadians hating on us? I don't know why. It's because you're so stupid to see that you're not even like seeing what your own people are doing. And you know what's crazy is that they say like Indians and Punjabis, like people who wear Sikhs like turbans, and then they're like causing all these issues, right? But what is that gonna do? There's people who are Pakistani, who are from a Bengali background, very good people, very hardworking people, but guess what? They look brown. If any, from a white person's perspective or someone who's ignorant, if they see a brown person, doesn't matter if that guy's Indian or Pakistani, they look the same, at least from their judgment, right? And then they're gonna like start hating on other brown people too because of that. People who had nothing to do with it, and now they're getting shit on and hated on, right? Which is very like frustrating. Like, I don't understand like why these Indians like don't want to like fix up. And then again, I'm not saying that I don't want them to come to the country. I don't want them to like do all these things. But if they're going to cause like all like these issues, and they're not willing to like, you know, like see the problem for what it is, and if the government of Canada does not want to do anything, or any other government of any country doesn't want to like fix these issues, then I mean, it's best for them to either leave, or the government itself needs to like drastically change their policies when it comes to immigration. So then again, this is just like my viewpoint on how I see immigration. Please let me leave your likes, leave a like, comment, subscribe to this video. I want to see your comments and your opinions on this, and you know, we'll see. Maybe later on I might make another video about this, and I just want to see like how this goes. So thank you for listening. If you reach this end to the video, like I say, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.